There's no individual agent inside the body orchestrating the activities of that particular body and mind. I mean, just ask yourself now, for instance, how many activities, chemical reactions, are going on in the body right now?
I don't know. I'd assume thousands.
I think billions is probably closer.
Right.
I don't know. Let's say
zeros. Lots of zeros.
Let's say lots and lots of zeros. Yeah. Now, even from a conventional point of view, how many of those do you have control over?
I would say none.
Okay, you'd say none. Most people would say my thoughts and my movements. I mean, most people would say, one or two. I mean, what kind of control is that, to be able to control one or two things out of billions?
I'm in control, I can tell. Okay.
Even from a conventional point of view, the idea of there being a controlling entity inside the body or the mind is absurd. And contemporary biology and science and physics and is now recognizing this. I mean, just take our thoughts. Obviously, what everybody wants more than anything else is to be happy. And what prevents us from being happy is the thought that says, I don't like what's going on. Yeah. So, obviously, the first thing we would do if we could control our thoughts would be to choose for our thoughts to be totally okay with what's going on. My wife's just gone off with a neighbor. Response? That's fine with me. If we can control our thoughts, shouldn't we be able to have that thought? And wouldn't that be the thought that you chose? Because then it would be fine. There would be no problem. Can we do that? No, we can't. I mean, that should be enough to persuade anybody, everybody, that they don't control their thoughts.
So then, any suggestion how one ought to live one's life? I mean, we tend to make plans. I think I'm going to get on a plane on tomorrow. Who knows? Yeah, you just live
whatever God places in your lap. Yeah, is just what you get. If the thought, the feeling of hunger just appears. You don't create it. Then, next thing after the feeling of hunger appears, the sensation of hunger, rather, the thought appears, okay, let's call a friend and go out to dinner at a local restaurant. Or, the thought appears, let's see what I've got in the fridge. You can't do anything about it. One of those two thoughts, or some other thought, is going to appear. Whichever thought that appears, your body is going to go either to the local restaurant or to the fridge or whatever. So just everything that you need will be provided.
But if the thought is one of apparent destructiveness, like, there's a bottle of whiskey, I think I'll have that.
Okay, if that thought appears to you, you're going to find yourself going to the bottle of whiskey and drinking too much of it.
Good thing I don't like whiskey, but I like wine. So
the fact that you don't like whiskey is just a part of the conditioning of your body which you have absolutely no control over. I mean, you might have been given a body that liked whiskey. Did you choose not to like whiskey and to like wine? No, not at all. Just the way you found yourself.
So then if somebody has behavior, whether it's antisocial behavior or even criminal behavior or addictive behavior, that's just what's happening? Or
yes, there's no entity that is responsible for that behavior. That behavior is a response that has been conditioned. The thoughts and feelings that lead to that behavior are just a result of that person's conditioning plus genetics plus whatever it is that conditions any single action. But there's no individual responsible.
So then there's no responsibility?
There's no personal responsibility. And strangely, understanding this doesn't make us behave in irresponsible ways. It's when we believe there is personal responsibility that we find ourselves behaving in irresponsible ways. When we feel, I am a separate person, it is that feeling that gives rise to irresponsible behavior. Let's take an extreme. What enabled Hitler to behave like he did? What was the founding thought behind his behavior?
His ego, his belief in a
deep sense of being a separate self. Without that feeling, it would have been impossible for him to think, feel, act, and relate like he did. So it's the apparent presence of the separate self that makes us behave in irresponsible ways. When that sense of separation goes, we don't find ourselves going around trashing people and behaving in unkind, ugly, irresponsible ways. No, our behavior is in line with the totality and serves the totality.